Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. What's he up to now? What he's up to now is, instead of me doing all the work, I'd like you to do some. Don't worry, there's a reward. Well, depending on your viewpoint, I suppose. I get quite a few people ask me about my orchid records. I will very quickly go over my column headings. I'm not going to elaborate too much, but basically just going across the top, these are the details I keep for each plant. We've actually got the genus followed by either the species or the hybrid name. I've got the date it last bloomed, and I keep a historical view there, so the date the first bloom opened to the date that the last one dropped off, and I keep two lots of that so I can see the previous blooming as well, see if it's early, late, all that sort of stuff. Where I got it from and when, if known, not always, some are just old and I don't know where I got them from. When they were last repotted, we'll come back to that in a minute, this is where you do some work. And then in this column, all I keep now, I used to keep different stuff in there, all I keep now is the last watering details. So basically that was what they had. The last watering I did was yesterday. That was my MSU feed at 160 parts per million, plus some CalMag taking it up to 195. And then the Potsil brand that I'm using as pH up, to get it to a pH that I wanted, actually took the TDS up to 210 parts per million, and that watering was at 6.8. and you're going to go, that was a bit high. Yeah, well, a lot of it's going on mounts with moss on, and a lot of it's going in pots, and some of that has got older media, so the pH will drop almost immediately after it's been used on either the mounts or the pots. And then the last column, I used to put all sorts of things in there, and all I put in that last column now is the details of the last repot that I did, or mount. So things like repotted in medium bark, sponge rock and charcoal. This is the large split with 4 new growths pushing on, roots not too bad. So that was the details as at the date it was last repotted. Now we come back to the bit where you do some work. I'm just going to make this quite a bit bigger, and we can move across here a little bit, not too much or I won't be able to read the names. Now why I've come in here is you'll notice in the repotted column we have colours. Now the orangey colour means it's on a mount, the black colour means it's in a normal pot, the bluey turquoisey colour means it's in a holy clay pot. So that's what those colours are for. Some of them have got bright red on them, and that means they are due a repot. And if you look at that top one there, that Brassia there was last repotted in 07-2020. So it could do with looking at. It might not need an actual repot right now, and it might not be a good time to do it. But knowing Brassias and where the new growths would be, it's highly likely. Yeah, so it needs looking at. So at this stage we're talking about looking at all the orchids that have got a red box on the repotted date. And this is where you come in, because I did mention on the Sunday chat that I've got a few repots to do. Well, having gone through my notes yesterday afternoon, it's not a few, it's a lot. And this is where you come in. I can't film them all, so I'd like each of you that want to join in to choose 2 of the plants that I will name as I go down through my notes, just 2. And they're the ones you would most like to see filmed when I do the repot. You see what I'm getting at? So there'll be a lot mentioned, and if you could, choose 1 or 2 that you would most like to see repotted as a video. Right, so we're starting at the top, Brassia vericosa sea breeze. So a species Brassia that came from Burnham's coming down the list. And the next one on the list is Laelia purpurata, variety striata. That is in a holy clay pot, and it's been in there since 08-20. But I'm reasonably confident it was potted in old bark, so it needs looking at. let's have a look at it. It's not desperate, you know. So actually 2020, that is getting pretty desperate. That's coming up to 2 years, but it is in bark, so it might still be okay. Next one down is, whoops, gone off the top, is a Rheincatlianthe. Of course it is. Varrote Star Trek. Now this is a new acquisition. That's why it's got unknown in the repot. And I haven't had it long, but I don't know what it's in. And I don't know what state that media is in either. So it needs looking at. And in particular, that one being a Cattleya, it's obviously important to get the timing right with the new roots. And on the latest growth on that plant, the new roots are just showing. So it might not be a bad time to get on with that one. But I don't know how long it's been in the media it's in or how good that media is. Right, now we've got some like this that are in red, but they say okay for now. Now this is a Coelogene nitida that I got from Burnham's not that long ago. So although I'm not sure, I know it wasn't long potted by Arthur at Burnham's and it's in good media, so I don't need to worry about it. And then my Cymbidium, the one I've had some time, I don't know when that was last repotted. I'd have to go and find the video. So it's unknown, it's been in that pot a long time, so the chances are the media is starting to break down, even though it's mainly bark. I can't even remember what I potted it in. So there's a Cymbidium on the list. The new Cymbidium that I've got hasn't been long potted, and it was done at Mathers by Jim, so I've got no worries about that one. Right, next one, Dendrobium Sweet Peaky Momoko. That is a nobly type that, according to my notes, was last repotted in 2019, which would have been probably when I got it. Sorry, I got it in 2019, and I haven't kept any details about the potting. Now, it's not in the pot it came in, I don't think, so I have repotted it. So I need to go and check that one because it might not need doing. But the chances are I repotted it and didn't update the date on my notes. That's why it still says unknown. Right, next one down then, another Dendrobium, Aussie's Sweetness crossed with Tapiniense. Now that's a Latoria type. It hasn't been repotted since October 2020. Yeah, so it needs looking at, because the chances are if it was repotted that long ago, it's in the old bark, which is breaking down quite quickly nowadays. Next one, Dendrobium Thailand Black, that's if it's still alive. That was also repotted in October 2020. It would be in old bark. I can only do something with that if it's got a new growth with some roots, because I think it's dumped all its leaves. It's not in a good state, that one. Right, down here, my Dendrobium Victoria Regina came from Burnham's and hadn't long been potted. Now I got it in 2020. I've put that to have a look at. I don't think that needs repotting yet. And again, I would want to wait for new growth. So at the moment it's in full bloom. So let's just have a look at that one. I doubt if it will need doing. We've got a Dracuvalia, a letter page. Now that's been in a right sorry state for quite a long time now, but currently it's starting to grow, and I don't know why. And it could be again that I repotted that and didn't update my notes, because according to my notes that was last potted up in November 2020. So we need to go and have a look at that one. Might need doing. One of the Masdevallia hybrids that's currently got a bloom on at the moment. Again, that hasn't been done since 2020, which makes me think this date is correct, because I obviously had a go at the cooler, shadier types, because we've got the Dracuvalia, the Masdevallia, and then down below there's another one with the same date, which is a Restrepia. Yeah, so yeah, I think that date's probably accurate. And yeah, and there are more below with the same date on. I obviously did a massive repot on the 21st of the 11th 2020, so all of those with that date on need looking at, and I'm pretty sure most of them are going to want repotting. And then my two giant Restrepias have got 2019 written on them. They need doing now. So that's the two big ones, the Antennifera Hemsleyana and the Falkenbergii, the species. So there's those two. Coming down a bit more, I've put down my Miltonias that possibly need doing and might not. There's one here that I got from Lynn in 2020, and that was repotted at that time. That's a very small plant. It's not that healthy at the moment, so that's dependent on new growths. Miltonia spectabile, that's a biggie. The Morelliana hybrid, that's a biggie. And the Summer Glory is a small one. That was done in October 2020, last done. And then my Miltonia Sunset, that's coming on quite nice, but again, that was done in 2020, it needs looking at. So that's most of the Miltonias, quite honestly, need looking at. Then we've got a Miltoniopsis. Now, that's the one that's in bloom, and everything in bloom on the 8th tomorrow, you will see the bloom because it's open properly now. We had a hint of it on Sunday, so we'll look at that properly tomorrow. Now, that was done in October 2020, and it's in cocoa husk. I'm pushing my luck leaving that plant in cocoa husk that long, because when it deteriorates, it goes off pretty quick. And then most of the other Miltoniopsis, I've got two in moss that are, well, they're probably going to get thrown out soon. They're not doing very well at all. The Phalaenopsis species, again, that was done in 2020. Needs looking at, see what state it's in. So there's some Miltoniopsis. Coming down in the Oncidium Alliance, we've got a Bialara, Memoria Donald Yamada. Now that was done in November 2020. That needs looking at. See if we've got a new growth, see if we've got any new roots coming about. There's my Nellie Isla that currently says it's in bud. I don't believe it. I don't think that's in bud at all. Perhaps we better have a look. It might be. Obviously, see that? Oh, I don't remember that being in bud. Anyway, again, that's October 2020. That needs looking at. Again, there's a Cambria type. Now this has really large purple shades, sort of odont type shape, but very large blooms. Again, that was done in 2020, needs looking at. And then we've got my recent Odontoglossum Anna Claire that had the gorgeous blooms on that I got from my friend Brian. Now that's in rockwool cubes. I don't know how long it's been in there, but when I asked Brian about repotting, he said just if it's an odont type, just repot them in the autumn. They seem to do best if you do that. I'm dreading that because that stuff gives me a rash. Right, Roscioglossum Rawdengester, I know, is just starting to come back into growth, and at some point there will be new roots. Again, that was last potted up in 2020, so that's a big plant to do as well, giant. My Prosthetia radiata, that was one of Derek's plants, but he hadn't long got that, and it's come from Burnham's, I know. I recognise the bark and I recognise it basically. So although I don't know when it was last potted, it's okay for now. I don't need to mess with that one. And that's it. Oh no, last one, my Pabstia. That's just finished blooming at the moment, and that was last potted up. Again, that's in cocoa husk. I don't think it's got anything else in the pot. 2020. So those are they. Obviously you can pause the video, listen to the names again. So there you are, you've got a number and the names on all of them. You can pause the video, wind it back, do all that sort of thing to try and find out what you'd like to vote for. And what you're voting for is the one or pair that you would most like to see filmed, and then I'll work them all out, because I can't film all of those. By the time I'd filmed them all and done the videos, it'll be too late to repot them in a lot of cases. So your help will be greatly appreciated to work out which ones are going to be the most popular for a repot video. Yeah? So why you choose them is entirely up to you. Maybe because it's something you've got coming up that you'd like to see me have a go at first. Maybe it's just an unusual plant that you've never heard of or something like that. But for whatever the reason, doesn't matter. just in the comments put down the name and or plant number or both of the one or pair, two, that you would like most turned into a repotting video. And thanks for your help. And the first one will be coming up very soon. We've got everything in bloom on the 8th tomorrow, the 8th, and probably the first one will be after that. So they'll be coming thick and fast soon, but I'm not filming all of them. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.